Is anybody else really curious about what Tendi's fantasy would be? We don't know much about her personally, but considering she's the mistress of the winter constellations, it could be really freaky. Hello, geeks, freaks, and all those unique. This is Emcee Frodis, and this review has been delayed because I was really sick. I'd say, thankfully, it's not COVID, but it's hard to feel thankful when I still feel like death. At least now I've gotten past the point of wanting to curl up and also having no voice. For the most part, we'll see how it holds out. But we're talking about Season 3 of Lower Decks, Episode 3, Mining the Mind's Mind. Last week, I spoke about alternative grouping variants, and today we got another one, with Mariner, Boimler, and Rutherford taking the A story, while Tendi had the B story all to herself. Now, I'd like to talk about Ransom's weird rant at the beginning. I know Ransom's the idiot character, but it doesn't seem like he's the only one with this attitude. And it really reflects on the cult-like nature of Starfleet. Sometimes we take for granted that the Federation doesn't equal Starfleet, and we see Ransom's discomfort with people outside of Starfleet. He just doesn't understand why people would not want to join, and I don't think he's the only one to believe this, and I just wanted to point it out as something that was really weird. The crux of the episode is the Cerritos lower deckers wanting to impress the crew of the Carlsbad. We've previously seen competition between the California-class ships, in particular in Moist Vessel with the Merced. It makes sense that there should be competition in the support ships. For most other series, the ship we're following are the top of the line and completely unparalleled. There's not going to be the same sort of professional rivalry when you're on the flagship. But for people who are jockeying for higher positions within Starfleet's pretty much just a pyramid, and we're used to being on the top with the Enterprise, but now we're way down at the bottom. The juxtaposition between the Carlsbad and the Cerritos is interesting. As we find out at the end of the episode, the Carlsbad crew was actually putting on a tough front because they want to impress the crew of the Cerritos. But in putting on this act, they get our lower deckers wanting to impress them in turn. It's interesting that it's Mariner who is most insistent at impressing the Carlsbad crew. But I don't think it's surprising. I think Mariner cares about the Cerritos more than just about anyone, possibly even more than Captain Freeman herself. Her loyalty to the ship is so strong, but it's not just the ship, it's the ship. Mariner, more than anyone else, doesn't want the ship to change. She wants everyone on the crew to remain, and in particular, remain in the places they're in. And she wants them to be recognized for all of the work they do. She's not going to put up with anyone disparaging her crew. So we have Mariner, Boimler, and Rutherford competing with the Carlsbad lower deckers to get rid of these fantasy minds. And of course that means we see some of their fantasies. I don't think we learn anything really groundbreaking from them. Boimler's is basically a play on the opening scene in Rise of Vindicta. It's great to see Susan Gibney back playing Dr. Leia Brahms as Rutherford's fantasy. It's such a fun Next Generation reference, and it makes absolute sense that Rutherford's character should share this particular crush with Geordi. Leia Brahms is basically the Starfleet engineer equivalent of Scarlett Johansson, or insert favorite starlet here. The most intriguing set of fantasies are Mariner's because they do actually give us some new information, and that's that she and Jennifer have begun dating since the end of First Contact. Now, I don't really love this revelation. Not that they're dating. Oh my god, I absolutely adore that. My problem is that we've skipped a few steps. They're apparently already calling each other babe, and Mariner is both loving and afraid of the idea of them getting more serious with one another. I wanted to see some of the first date nervousness. I don't know what Star Trek seems to have against sapphic development romances. They just want to storm right into them. But you know what? Jennifer and Mariner are together, and that makes me happy, and it makes Rutherford and Boimler happy to see Mariner get completely red over her girlfriend. So this is a win all in all. Once the minds are broken open and the characters' nightmares are revealed, again, the only character we really learn anything about is Mariner. And again, it's not a huge revelation. She's got commitment issues. It's something we've known about her since season 1. We find out that amongst the support ships, the Cerritos is making a pretty impressive name for itself. And I think this is a fun meta-commentary on the fact that Lower Decks is one of the most popular modern Star Trek series. It's kind of like how by the time of TNG, the exploits of Kirk and Spock and the rest of the Enterprise crew had become iconic because we had seen them. Now the Cerritos crew is becoming famous for their adventures, even if it's because their adventures are so ridiculous. Over in the B plot, we have Tendi finally doing some science officer training. This isn't something we've really seen in Star Trek. Science officers don't really get the same attention as engineers, pilots, or people on the command track. Usually we're very secure in our science officer, the second in command of the ship, oftentimes the token alien of the show. Otherwise, we don't give a shit about the science officers. Seriously, who was the science officer on the Enterprise D? I'll wait. No? That's what I thought. But it's good to see some progression in Tendi. Yeah, it's funny to see our main characters do menial tasks that are kind of wacky, but we also want to see evolution in them. If they're going to be promoted up, they need to learn what's required of them. And I think that this is the right time for one of our main characters to begin that progress. And we see how hard it really is. For characters like Spock and Jadzia, it was pretty easy getting through to the captain because their captains respected them so much. What Tendi is learning here is that it isn't something that you can really find out in a book or score on a test. She's learning the confidence to stand on the bridge, which is exactly what Miggly Moo told her, but she wasn't willing to listen to it because Miggly Moo really didn't care. It took Tana because of the emotional connection that Tendi has with her. Tana might be an ornery, semi-psychotic cat lady, but she connects with Tendi on a deep level. She brings out the person that Tendi has to be in order to grow, and that's really what it takes to be a good mentor. Miggly Moo might have the right point, but he has no idea how to get that point across. Both of the plots finally come together in the reveal that the aliens and the scientists are data mining, and it's not my favorite way that this plot could have been resolved. It just feels really modern, and while I do know Star Trek likes to do futuristic allegories on today's issues, this didn't really feel like enough of a metaphor because they were literally data mining. But they needed to find a way to wrap up the story, and that the aliens and the scientists were actually working together actually tied very well with the idea that the Cerritos and the Carlsbad had to work together. So everything gets wrapped up really neatly, and the Cerritos and Carlsbad crews goes to party together. This was another good episode. Not the best, but it was a solid story. I like seeing Mariner, Boimler, and Rutherford working together. And of course, Tendi is my favorite, so I love having her get a chance to shine and seeing her progress in her goals towards being a bridge officer. So comment down below with your thoughts on Lower Decks, Mining the Mind's Mines. If you like my videos, subscribe to my channel. I do videos about Star Trek, Star Wars, and lots of other geeky things. If you want to support me, please visit my Patreon. You can also buy me a coffee, or you can go to my Redbubble and TeePublic to buy my geeky graphic designs. So until next time, live long, and may the Force be with you.